Ontario colleges have successfully grown over the past 50 years. This presentation will touch on the history of colleges, offering detail about the board's mandate and leading governance practices. There is no perfect board, but we will review the role of presidents and board chairs and the role that governors play in leading colleges. In 1945, with the end of World War II, came enormous changes to Canada. Thousands of European immigrants arrived and the baby boom began. Bill Davis, Minister of Education, gave a speech in May 1965, where he talked about Canada having a young and willing workforce of new and established Canadians looking for good jobs with prospects. The government also saw many workers in their 30s and 40s looking for employment, and acknowledged that universities weren't the answer for these groups of people. These individuals needed either retraining or vocational technical colleges that could train them to become carpenters or plumbers. They turned to the idea of apprenticeship programs for the trades, and in the 1960s, 20 colleges across Ontario were established as career training institutions. In 1965, the Department of Education passed Bill 153 that allowed the Minister of Education to establish and govern colleges of applied arts and technology, offering programs of instruction in vocation and technological fields for full or part-time students. Colleges were set up almost like government departments, with no independence. The model was for government to run and manage colleges, with CEOs acting like school principals. When Algonquin College was established in 1967, it was to serve the counties of Renfrew, Lanark, Carleton, Russell, and Prescott. From the original 18 colleges that were established in the 1960s, we now have 24 colleges across Ontario, with approximately 25% of Ontarians holding college credentials. The four basic principles that colleges were modeled against were to provide a total education, to fulfill the cultural aspirations and occupational needs of students, to meet the needs of business in a changing technological society, and to be dedicated to progress and equal opportunity for all. Moving swiftly ahead to the year 2000, when the Post-Secondary Choice and Excellence Act was passed, colleges were authorized to issue degrees. This was as a result of changing work environments and society's need to support economic and social development. The Post-Secondary Quality Assessment Board was established as an arm's-length advisory agency to make recommendations to the minister under the terms of the Post-Secondary Education Choice and Excellence Act 2000. Ministerial consent was needed by all public and private degree-granting organizations to offer degree programs in Ontario. The 2002 Act brought a new approach of colleges and universities as autonomous Crown agencies with freedom and responsibilities to offer competitive, market-driven programs with a corporate management structure that is self-governing with a board of governors. The Minister of Training, Colleges and Universities now had the power to intervene in the public interest if a college fails to be well managed, fails to apply financial resources properly, fails to ensure access to all students in the community, in particular First Nations and disabled students, fails to deliver quality education and training, or fails to comply with policy directives. Colleges were given this autonomy, however, the government imposed control devices to appoint governors through the Lieutenant Governor in Council appointment process and the power to intervene in college business if their mandate was not met. College boards were given a specific mandate to ensure that colleges are career-oriented, that they train students for careers to address the needs of local employers, and to keep in touch with the changing work environments and local community needs. Colleges were to operate in the public interest, have strong financial management with high-quality programs and services, while complying with the government's policy directives. Boards were given a mandate under Regulation 169/10 regarding the composition of boards and the frequency of meetings. External governors were to be not less than 12 in number and no more than 20. Algonquin College determined that there would be 12 appointed external members, 8 who are board appointed, and 4 who are appointed by the Minister of Training, Colleges and Universities. These external governors may not be either employees or college students. There would be 4 internal governors representing academic, administrative, support, and students. The president would be the 17th voting member. Governors would be granted 3-year terms to be renewed once for a maximum term of office of 6 years. Board quorum was set at 10 governors, and all meetings would be open to the public, with the option of moving to an in-camera or closed meetings when addressing confidential or personnel-related matters. Colleges were mandated to maintain balanced budgets, with the requirement to obtain ministers' approval should a deficit threaten, combined with a 2-year deficit elimination plan. Accountability measures were established through the requirement for colleges to submit a strategic plan, an annual business plan, and an annual report. Performance metrics in the form of key performance indicators, or KPIs, were established that track each college's graduation and employment rates, retention rate, and student satisfaction outcomes. Multi-year accountability agreements, better known as MIAs, were developed, as well as strategic mandate agreements that ensure differentiation between colleges across Ontario. The mandate to college boards also included guidelines to ensure the independence of governors in an effort to maintain the highest levels of integrity and ethical standards. Conflict of interest is described as a personal or private interest which might reasonably be seen to influence a governor's decision. Conflicts could include actual, perceived, or potential conflicts, and declaring such conflicts during board proceedings remains the personal responsibility of each governor of the board. A number of rules govern when and how a conflict should be declared, and the potential consequences of not declaring a known conflict. Examples of conflicts would be a student governor entering into discussion and voting on a general increase to student tuition fees, or an academic governor voting on the elimination of a program from his or her home department. Should a conflict be apparent after a matter is determined, it may be necessary to reconsider the matter and take a second vote. The government's binding policy directives on governance and accountability clearly identify that a governor's first responsibility is for the welfare of the institution. A governor must function primarily as a member of the board, and not as a member of any particular constituency, be it students, faculty, administrators, or support employees. Algonquin College's Board of Governors is to govern effectively for the successful achievement of the college's mandate within the financial support that is provided by the Province of Ontario. This is a trusting relationship between governors and Ontarians. The primary focus of good governance requires that policies, processes, and structures be established and maintained to promote the effective operation of the college, to allow it to fulfill its mandate and meet its objectives. The primary focus of effective management includes essential elements to ensure organizational integrity is maintained: strong financial management, open communication with stakeholders and community, the collection and reporting of information, and the maintenance of good management practices. Governors are accountable to students, employers, and their community, and colleges, as agencies to the government and recipients of public funds, are accountable to the broader public and the government. In broad terms, the government has mandated the board to establish good governance structures, to ensure that these structures have clear lines of communication and accountability, and that the board sets the college's vision, strategic directions, and overall goals and outcomes for the college. The board must hire a CEO, their only employee, and delegate to the CEO all other management duties. The board must approve an annual business plan, budget, and annual report, and the board must regularly assess the CEO's performance against the college's corporate goals. The board must also evaluate its own performance and take corrective action where needed. Algonquin College's Board of Governors enjoys a very strong reputation across the college system and is seen as having leading governance practices. The board has 4 standing committees, including the Executive Committee, Audit and Risk Management Committee, Governance Committee, and the newly established Academic and Student Affairs Committee. The board provides regular professional development opportunities to its governors and also completes an annual evaluation of its effectiveness through a board survey, as well as governors completing a self-assessment survey to help them identify areas where further development is needed. Governance leading practices include having a good understanding of the difference between the board's responsibility to oversee the direction of the college through the president and CEO, and management's responsibility to manage the organization. A strong board will be knowledgeable, informed, fair, principled, respectful, and constructive in their advice to the president, and act in good faith and with the best interests of the college at all times. The College Employer Council is a statutory body that was established as part of the 2002 Act for presidents and board chairs to recommend compensation ranges for presidents and vice presidents. Colleges Ontario is a voluntary organization that Ontario colleges subscribe to as an advocacy and lobbying group, and that provides orientation to new governors. This concludes the presentation on the college board mandate and governance leading practices. Please access the legislation referred to in the presentation by visiting the board's SharePoint site under the Board Manual tab. Please direct any questions you may have to the board office or to the board chair. Thank you.